Welcome to the Abundance Hack Podcast, where we want to inspire you to push past your blocks, limiting beliefs, and comfort zone to live a confident, happy, and fulfilling life. I am your host, Niajae, influencer, motivational speaker, and boss babe. Every time you hit subscribe or leave a 5-star rating, I do my happy dance. Hey M&Ms, how's my magical manifestors today? Prior to me launching this podcast, I did Facebook Lives every single day for a year straight. Every single day, except for one day I was in Facebook jail. But that's a whole nother story. And after that year, I went down to about 3 to 4 times a week for the next 6 months. Now, I would just hop on live and no script. I would just speak from the heart, whatever was on my mind. But when I launched this podcast, I've been carefully crafting everything that I said and, taking notes to make sure I stayed on topic, but I really missed that vibe and that energy from my Facebook Live. So I'm going to try something a little different this episode where I don't have any notes. I am just speaking to you from the heart. And it's a topic that I'm really, really, really passionate about, which obviously if you know me, you know that I'm passionate about a lot of things. But it should be totally fine because I have a lot to say on this topic. So yeah, let's dive in. I have been doing some soul searching lately. I think it's really important that we check in and we evaluate where we're at mentally, spiritually, physically, career-wise, relationship-wise, and where our life is at. And one of the things that I have really been drawn towards is purpose and fulfillment. Obviously, I launched this podcast and it's about abundance. And to me, abundance means being fulfilled, and the way you are fulfilled is through finding your purpose, living your purpose, living intentionally. And so a lot of what I've been doing the last few years is building sales funnels. So I've been building sales funnels for people who want to grow their email list, who want to create some type of online course, who wants to have some type of digital product. Recently, I've been really obsessed with helping podcasters, just create a way to grow their email list while they're podcasting. So the industry has taken a really interesting turn. And if you guys know me, you know I'm very transparent. And I kind of feel like the sales funnel world and a digital product world is going to start to become similar to MLMs and network marketing. So you know that MLMs and network marketers don't necessarily have the best reputation. And personally, I don't see anything wrong with the business model. It's more so the poor sales tactics that are being using, the poor training that's being used for some of the salespeople. Now, there are companies out there with amazing products, and then there's definitely companies out there with integrity in their sales process. But I think that with that industry, there is a bad rep because there's been so many bad sales techniques. So with the sales funnel world and the automation world and the online course world and the digital product world, because there's so many fluff programs, and there are some programs out there that I won't say they're scams, but they're basically regurgitated information where the person is like, oh, let me teach you how to make $1 million when they've never actually made $1 million. So I can see why someone would feel that's a scam, even though the technique, they may have read it in a book and they decided to put it in a course. And if you follow it properly, you may make $1 million, but you may not. So it's become this really interesting thing. And because I build sales funnels and I encourage people to create digital products, I had to really ask myself, how much involvement do I have in creating this fluff industry almost, and making sure that I am operating from a place of integrity. And so one thing that I've realized is you have all these products. Now, let me just say, there are people that actually are making phenomenal money, and their lives have completely been changed by automating their business, by automating a portion of their business, by creating some type of digital product where they can make money while they sleep. It's a thing. It's a real thing. But just like every single industry, you have some coaches or salespeople or sales funnel consultants that are good, and then you have some that are bad. But what's common right now is people saying, create an online course, copy my funnel, do this, do that, step into your power, quantum leap. But what I realize is that no one is talking about the stages it takes to go through and be successful. So every time you set a goal, there are stages that you go through emotionally, mentally, in order to get to that success. If you were setting some type of goal, so like, let's say you make $50,000 a year. You make $50,000 a year, but you just purchased a course that's telling you that you can make $50,000 a month. Now, let's be real. Just for a second, I want you to just strip away any judgment right now. Let's be really real. If you make $50,000 a year, the process you have to go through mentally and emotionally to believe that you can make $50,000 a month. And it sounds good. Everybody, not everybody, but people buy lotto tickets all the time, expecting that miracle, so to speak. And no one's talking about what you need to do, the process you need to go through in order to fully, wholeheartedly believe that you can make $50,000 a month from just making $50,000 a year. Okay? So this is so common right now. There's so much sales copy and so many programs that are like, oh, my client just made $100,000 a month. Oh, my company just hit 2 million. Now, whether it's true or not, for the person who is like, damn, I want to make that. Damn, let me do this. Damn, let me try this because I want to try to make that amount of money. No one's talking about the emotional things that you have to go through, the hurdles that you have to jump over to believe that it's possible for you. And so what I did the last few weeks is I really sat down because I've been building sales funnels for years now, and I have heard every excuse, every limiting belief in the book. Like literally people come to me and they're like, I want a sales funnel. I want to create a course. I want to do this. And, some of them do it. Some of them don't. Some of them start it and never finish. Some of them, say I want to do it, but never actually move forward. And so I'm like, this is a problem. I'm the type of person where I want to see somebody see it all the way through. Now, if you're hiring me for coaching, obviously I'll hold your hand and hold you accountable the whole process. But if you're just hiring me to build you a funnel, that's kind of a different story. And I have just been thinking about okay, how can I make sure that people finish what they started? Because, the reality is that is what separates the people that are successful from the people that are not. The people that are not give up. They give up. They give in when things get a little difficult. And so even if you have no interest in online courses or any type of digital product, what I'm talking about in this episode is the 5 stages of leveling up. And this could be leveling up in your business. This could be leveling up in your career. This could be leveling up in your life. This could be leveling up in your relationship. Just like the 5 stages of grief, we have 5 stages of leveling up. Now, the reason why I developed this framework is because I see a problem and I am a problem solver. And I had to take it back. I had a business. If you guys have been listening to me, I used to own a dance and aerial studio, and aerials is something that a lot of people, before they even started, felt defeated. They would look at it, if they didn't have any type of dance background or gymnastics background or cheer background or any type of athletic background, they would look at it and be like, oh man, I could never do that. Even though they wanted to. So I had to get people to believe, even if they took one class, I had to get them to believe that the splits and the tricks and the flips in the air was possible for them. So this is what actually got me really excited about like coaching people, is because I found a way to chunk it down to where it was easily digestible for them to believe that the flips and the tricks and the splits were possible for them in the air. And so coming up with that curriculum. So with my studio, I developed my own curriculum, and I had to. There's a lot of studios that try to take people from step 1 to like step 20, and they skip step 2 through 19, And so I developed my own curriculum that was so easy. I taught kids. I loved teaching kids. And we started at age 6 for aerials. So I had to be able to chunk it down to where a 6-year-old can understand it. So, and I had phenomenal kids, phenomenal. So if you are listening on iTunes, go ahead and hop on YouTube or Facebook to check out some video, because I'm going to overlay some video from my studio so you can see some of my phenomenal students. Anyway, not to get off topic. See, this is why I write notes, because I tell really long-winded stories. Hence why I started a podcast, because I love talking. But I tell really long-winded stories. But let me not get sidetracked, okay? So anyway, I went to the drawing board and I said, okay, I developed this curriculum. I was able to get people to believe that something they never thought was possible for them is possible. And so, all the motivation in the world's like, yeah, you can do it, raise your prices, scale, copy my funnel, make $100,000 a month. Like, all of that is great. It's great. But when that person goes home, if inside their head, inside their heart, they don't believe it's possible for them, they are not going to get the results that they desire. That is the reality of it. If they don't see that they can do it because they're just a mom, or they didn't graduate college, or they're just a bartender, or I'm just a personal trainer. These are limiting beliefs that people are feeling deep in their heart, in their minds, and no one is attacking the root of the issue. Now, I believe with every cell in my body that whatever you set your mind on, you can achieve. Whatever you dream, you can achieve once you fully believe it and commit. And the problem is people are not believing it's possible for them. It sounds good, and people are like, oh yeah, I'm gonna buy this $2,000 course so this person can teach me how to scale. I'm gonna pay this coach $5,000 for their VIP so they can teach me how to I could copy their funnel, and they can teach me how to create a $15,000 product. But if they don't believe that their product is worth $15,000, it's not going to be successful. They're not going to get the results that they desire. And that is just the reality of it. And they can copy the funnel. They can copy the launch strategy. They can copy the process. So this goes for anything, just like in relationships. Well, and I just want to switch gears because I want you to see that these 5 stages can be applied really to anything So let's say you're a guy that wants to go after this super hot, amazing girl, and you can get her, but if you don't believe in your heart that you deserve her, you're going to self-sabotage. You are going to mess it up somehow. So what I wanted to do is really get to the root of the issue, because you can tell someone, yeah, copy a funnel, create a course, raise your prices, create this $10,000 product, create a high ticket item, go for this job, go for this girl or this guy. You can tell a person to do all of this, but if their belief in their heart, in their mind, doesn't feel like they deserve it, all they're going to do is self-sabotage and self-destruct. So let's dive into these 5 stages of leveling up. Number 1 is blocks. So blocks are things that just prevent you from even getting started. Oh my goodness. So many things like, oh yeah, I want to create an online course, but I don't have time. Now, okay, I have to be honest with you guys. I don't have time is my biggest pet peeve. Like when someone says it to me, it's literally like fingernails on a chalkboard. Like seriously, because everybody had time to binge watch Games of Thrones or whatever it's called. I've never seen it. Games of Thrones, whatever it is, GOT, whatever. So like everyone had time to watch that. So like everyone has time to watch Bachelor. Everyone has time to spend hours scrolling on social media. So literally, I don't have time is my biggest pet peeve. Biggest pet peeve. So think about it. Like, let's put this into perspective. We have the same 24 hours as Beyonce. We have the same 24 hours as Oprah. We have the same 24 hours as Tony Robbins. So, yeah. That's all I have to say about that. So blocks are things that prevent people from getting started. I can't do it because the time is not right. I have this going on. I have that going on. The reality is life is busy. Life is busy. Life will always be busy. The time will never just be right. There's always going to be something. So the blocks are just like the little excuses that are stopping you from getting started, stopping you from taking action, stopping you from taking that step forward. So you have to push past them. You have to say every single day, I am going to commit to taking a step forward, to planting some type of seed, even if it's a little baby step, even if it's a little baby seed, planting a little baby seed, even if it's just one, planting a seed, even if it's just one step, still taking a step every single day. I do something towards my goals and dreams. So at the 10X Growth Con, Grant Cardone's convention, I fell in love with John Maxwell because for so many reasons, but one thing that he said that just stands out to me so much is he says, you know why I have 86 books? And guys, 86 books. Okay, M&M's 86. Some people never write 8 books. Some people never write a book. So he has 86 books. And you know why? He said, it's because I write every single day. On my birthday, I write. On Christmas, I write. If I'm sick, I write. So every single day he writes. And that is why he has 86 books. So ask yourself, do you want to make excuses? Oh, I can't do it today because of this. Oh, I'm tired. Oh, I don't have time. Oh, my feet hurt. Oh, I feel sick. Do you want to commit to the blocks and the excuses, or do you want to commit to showing up for yourself? Commit to showing up for your dreams. Commit to showing up for your future. Commit to showing up for your purpose, the legacy that you are leaving in this world. So you have to push past those blocks, okay? Number 2 in the 5 stages of leveling up is limiting beliefs. Now, you guys, we all have limiting beliefs. I don't care who you are, where you are, what phase of life you are in. We have limiting beliefs, and they can range from so many different things. And I'll be so transparent with you guys. So limiting beliefs, especially when things get difficult, a lot of them creep up in your mind and you can't let them because they're sneaky. Oh, they're so sneaky. So, I've had some unsuccessful launches with programs that I've launched myself. And one of the things, and I'm being really real and transparent and honest with you guys, and one of the things that will creep up in my mind every now and then is the fact that I didn't graduate college. I do not have a college degree, M&Ms. I am being really transparent with you guys. And this is something that used to bother me. It used to bother me, but the fact that I'm able to say it to you today, it disarms it. It disarms it. Like, you can't use it against me anymore because I'm putting it out there on the table, So it's kind of one of those things where, and as far as anyone like using it against me, it's when I say that because it's not a trigger for me anymore. Because the reality is, and this is what I have to tell myself. So when that limiting belief creeps up that like, oh, no one wants to buy my course because I didn't graduate college. How ridiculous is that? You know what I mean? Like, there's so many people that haven't graduated college. There's so many people who have graduated college that are not doing anything with their degree. You know what I mean? And I've always been an entrepreneur. I started my first business at 19. So, it's not like I ever wanted to be like a lawyer. It's something that required me to go to college. So why is that even a thing? You know what I mean? But we have like our brains are so sneaky in a way of like standing in our way. It's our mind. It's our mindsets that stands in a way of everything that we want. So like, instead of me being self-aware and being real with myself, like, well, maybe I didn't do my launch strategy as good as I could have. Maybe I need to tweak my program. Maybe I should have done a 14-day launch rather than a 7-day launch. Like, instead of me just going back to the drawing board, which is what I do, but because I'm self-aware and I've learned to be solution orientated and I don't get stuck. I don't, because I have this process, which is what I want to teach people. But instead of me saying like, oh, FML, woe is me, I didn't graduate college and that's why no one wants to buy my program. Like, you know what I mean? People get stuck in that. And I'm just giving you an example of something that used to creep up for me. And so I would have to be like, you know what? I ran a brick and mortar business for 5 years and I sold that business. I had a business broker, escrow account, signed the papers, the whole 9 yards. Like, what is this thing creeping up in my mind? It's like and I probably sound crazy sometimes having these conversations with myself. Like, what are you thinking? You know what I mean? Like, what are you thinking? Doubting yourself, But like, we all have doubts. That's the reality, is we all have doubts. And being able to catch yourself when it happens. And sometimes you don't even know it's happening. This is why I always talk about self-awareness. But if you are not someone that is necessarily self-aware, because there's a lot of people that are not self-aware, then having one, real ass friends that can give you some real ass feedback, not the yes friends where they just tell you what you want to hear, but the real ones. And then also having coaches, mentors, masterminds, because you want people that are going to be real with you. You want people that are going to point out your blind spots, and not from a place of like calling you out, but from a place of wanting to help you, wanting to empower you, wanting to see you grow. And I know one thing, so like sometimes I know I have somewhat of like a hard approach, and people don't like to be talked at. But the reality is the person that's ready to grow, they're going to be receptive. The person that is not ready to grow, they're going to blame whoever is pointing out an area that they can grow. Okay? Do you feel me? That was like a mic drop right there, you guys. So if a person is ready to grow, they're going to be receptive to the lessons and the knowledge. A person who's not ready to grow is going to try to discredit and criticize anyone who is trying to help them grow. Because some people are not ready to grow. So you have to ask yourself, like, are you ready to level up? You know what I mean? And if you're not, then like none of this applies. But if you are ready to level up, you have to know you have some blind spots. We all have blind spots. We all have limiting beliefs. And once you can just say, you know what? I have blind spots. I have limiting beliefs. That acceptance will allow you to be open to figuring out what they are. And once you're able to say, this is a limiting belief, then it disarms it. It disarms it, and then you can move past it. You can work to move past it. And they always creep up. You know, they always creep up. So you have to figure out what your limiting belief is. And I mean, there are some that are so deeply ingrained in our minds, freaking in our subconscious. So sometimes it takes a lot of digging, but it's important that you're aware of what they are. And so I think that like for me, so many people, there's so many things, oh my goodness. So many people tell me like, oh, a relationship or a marriage is only going to slow you down in business. What makes you think that I cannot have a relationship and a thriving ass business? Like, what makes you think? I don't know what world you live in, but don't try to like rub your limiting beliefs off on me, because I wholeheartedly think it's possible. Now, you know, there's so many things. I just did a really phenomenal episode. Oh my God, you guys, I love this episode, but I just did a really phenomenal, I recorded it. It won't air for a little bit of time, but it was with the lady that runs the Traveling Child blog. And she travels. She has a husband and 2 daughters that are under the age of 6 years old. Her daughters have been to 23 countries already. And they're under 6, like 23 countries. Most adults have not even been to 23 countries. So the reason why I bring this up is because one limiting belief is, and I hear this is what people have told me, oh, you better get your traveling out now, because once you have kids, you're not going to be able to travel anymore. What world do you live in? Because what makes you think you can't travel once you have kids? Is it harder? Yes. Will you have to sacrifice some things? Yes. Is it more expensive? Yes, but it's totally possible. Totally possible. So these are just little things, like little limiting beliefs, you know, that are like so deeply ingrained in society. And I think it's bullshit. Like I'm calling bullshit. And so you have to be aware not only of the limiting beliefs that are internal, but the limiting beliefs that people are telling you that you're subconsciously storing. Because like you may not even believe it, like whatever, I can still travel. But in the back of your mind, you may be like, shit, they may have a point. You know what I mean? Like, so you have to really be aware of what you're consuming, who you're surrounding yourself with, and are they positive or are they feeding you limiting beliefs? Really, really important thing to be aware of. Intentional living, people. Intentional living. In order to live an abundant life, you have to adapt an abundant mindset. That requires reprogramming your beliefs to attract all the love, money, and success you can handle. Download this free Abundant as Fuck affirmation ebook with over 100 affirmations to get you started thinking positive, confident, and yummy thoughts. Download it for free at abundancehack.com/ebook to take action towards living your abundant life. So number 3 is frustration. Okay, so I freaking love this one. I love this one so much. And I go through this. And every now and then I have a rant. Every now and then you hear me like on my soapbox complaining about the industry. And so when I do that, I know that I'm not grounded. I know that I'm not in alignment with what I'm supposed to be doing and my purpose, because I'm too focused on what other people are doing and what's going on in the industry, rather than just focusing on what I'm doing and living my purpose and spreading my message and my impact. So frustration to me is the people, one, that project. They're angry inside, and so they're projecting their anger out on everyone else because things are not working out the way they want them to. So like, and I get frustrated. Like there's times where I'm just like, okay, universe, I'm doing what I need to be doing. So this is the person that's like, I'm doing the work. I'm putting in the work. So why am I not seeing the results? The frustration is like when you're just like, I'm doing the work. I'm doing the work. I'm doing everything that I feel like I am supposed to be doing. So why am I not seeing the results? And then that moment where you're like, oh my God, throw a girl a bone. Like, why is all this stuff happening? Why am I having such a hard time? Just that place of like, damn, why is this shit so hard? Why is this person making all that money? Now, when you start comparing yourself, now the comparison, I feel like falls into this stage, the frustration stage, where you're like, okay, Susan and Joe is making $50,000 a month. Why am I not making $50,000 a month? Oh, Susan, she doesn't even know what she's talking about. Joe, his program sucks. Like, this is where you start to discredit other people. This is where you get frustrated. And I try not to ever discredit anyone. So I don't agree with certain programs because they're giving people false hope, but I never try to discredit a specific person. I try my best. I won't say I don't, but I try my very best to not judge or like focus on a specific person. So a lot of times I'm like, the industry as a whole, there's programs that are misleading people. I'll never call a program a scam, but there are programs that are misleading people, or they're regurgitated because, this person that's teaching someone how to make $1 million has never made $1 million themselves, but and so the reason why, because like I'm a very, very logical person. So for just shits and giggles, there are like Olympic coaches that have never won an Olympic medal, but they know how to train someone how to win an Olympic medal. So me personally, I would prefer to be coached by someone who has actually made $1 million, who's going to coach me how to make $1 million. That's just my personal preference, but it is totally possible to be coached by someone who hasn't done it necessarily themselves. So I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here. However, back to the stage. So number 3 frustration is when you start to get angry and you start pointing fingers and you start blaming it on the industry, blaming it on people, blaming it on the universe, blaming it on whatever, like just trying to discredit and like judging other people and saying other people suck and like just being angry with the world because you are not seeing the results that you desire. And this is legitimate, guys. So one thing I want to tell you is every single one of these stages are 100% legitimate. You have the right to be frustrated and you have to work through that and honor it. Don't try to suppress it. Don't try to stuff it in the back of your closet. Don't try to sweep it under the rug. You have to face it. You have to face it. One thing that I would recommend is journaling, because sometimes when we get it out, we're able to see, okay, this doesn't even make sense. Like, I'm not being rational here. You know what I mean? Like, honor the feeling. Like, okay, I'm upset. I am upset. Like, I'm frustrated. Like, it's okay to say that. And you have to ask yourself, like, okay, why am I frustrated? I'm hating on Joe or Mary. I think those are the names that I said. Who knows? I'm hating on Joe and Mary, and I'm angry at Joe because Joe is making all this money, but I'm not. But like, am I really mad at Joe? You know what I mean? Or am I just mad that I'm not making the money that I want to make? So these are questions you have to really ask yourself, because it's going to help you become more self-aware. And there's a lot of people that are angry and frustrated and are lashing out. Now, obviously, social media, you can't believe everything that you read. So don't think that Joe and Mary or Sue are making the money that they necessarily claim. So that's just the reality of it. But like, let's say they legitimately are making the money that they're posting about. You can't be mad at them. It's up to you to be like, you know what? Let me use that as motivation, buckle down, roll up my sleeves, and get to work. Like, the energy that you are using being frustrated, turn that into fuel. Turn that into fuel to take action Take action. And if you're not seeing the results that you want, it's time to go back to the drawing board and look at the issue at hand. Look at your patterns, look at your habits, look at your morning routine, look at where you're spending your time and energy, look at the amount of self-care that you're doing. And I know that probably doesn't make sense to some people, but if we're not taking care of ourselves, we're not operating at our best. And if we're not operating at our best, we're not going to get the best result. So there's so many different things that you can look at within you rather than looking externally at what everyone else is doing. So number 4 in the 5 stages of leveling up is the imposter syndrome. Woo, you guys. So this one is serious. This one is so serious. Now, the imposter syndrome is basically those feelings or thoughts that creep up that have you feeling like you're a hypocrite or you're a fraud. Okay, so this can go, and so the person who is coaching people to make $1 million that hasn't made $1 million, they definitely went through the imposter syndrome. Period, point blank, end of story. They definitely went through it. They had to go through it in order to be like, you know what? I haven't made $1 million, but you know what? I do know X, Y, and Z. I am a badass coach because of X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean? So like you have to go through that process and be like, this is why I do what I do. Because I went through this, this, and this. I am a great relationship coach because I went through 4 bad relationships and I've learned what not to do. So that's going to help someone not make the same mistakes as me. So I'm giving you like random examples, but imposter syndrome is so real. Now, I'll be really honest with you and transparent. You guys know I'm transparent. So one thing that creeps up for me with imposter syndrome is, am I a hypocrite? Now, I have somewhat of a rocky relationship with my family, and especially with my mom. Now, let me just say, I love my mom to death, but we do not see eye to eye all the time. Now, one of my biggest messages is we have to cultivate deeper connections. We have to cultivate deeper connections. So sometimes I'm like, am I a hypocrite? Because I'm not talking to my mom right now. And I'm over here telling people we have to cultivate deeper connections. You know what I mean? So like these things creep up. And it's like I said, I'm just giving you a random example. Everyone's imposter syndrome is going to look different. It's going to feel different. But this is one thing where, because like for me personally, I am dedicated to living my life in integrity, especially when it comes to business. Everything that I do, I operate from a place of integrity. So the fact that I'm even evaluating my actions and my day-to-day, and people may not know that, but it's not integrity. Oh, I have a friend who asked her daughter, what does integrity mean? And her daughter says, what you do when no one is watching. And that sums it up. That sums it up. Like, I can easily pretend that like I have the best relationship, with my family. But if I know deep down inside that it's sometimes rocky, which, plenty of family relationships are, no one needs to know that, but I want to make sure that I'm practicing what I'm preaching. I want to make sure that I'm living my life from a place of integrity. I'm operating my business from a place of integrity. And so I'm just sharing with you one thing that I did have to ask myself, like, am I a hypocrite because of this? And so families are complicated, obviously, but making sure that you are committed to operating from a place of integrity. And if you haven't in the past, start today. Don't even think back. Like, if you're just like, you know what? I can use a little bit more integrity in my business. Start today. Don't worry about what you did yesterday or 5 days ago or a week ago or a year ago. Start today. Start today. We need more integrity in business, you guys. We need more integrity in business. We need more integrity in life. We need more integrity in relationships. So living from a place of integrity, operating from a place of integrity, it's going to help with that imposter syndrome. But one thing that you can do is just get back to your why. Get back to your why, or know your why. If you don't know your why, figure out your why. Figure out why you're doing what you're doing and if your why is strong enough, it's not going to matter. Like it will crush that imposter syndrome. So I used relationship coach earlier. If you are a relationship coach, you know your why is because you have felt the pain of a broken heart. And you don't want other women to experience it. You want them to learn from your mistakes. If you can save 10 women from heartbreak, that's your why. That's your why. So if the fact that you're not married is like standing in your way, but you know that you can stop these 10 women from experiencing the heartbreak that you experienced to have a healthy relationship, that imposter syndrome is going to fade away. It's going to fade away. So it's really, really important that you remember your why. Write it down, put it on your vision board, like whatever you need to do. You have to remember your why it is you're doing what you're doing, your message, your gift, your skill that you are sharing with the world. So last but definitely not least, in the 5 stages of leveling up is upper limit. Oh my. So this is this is when things start getting good. This is when things start getting good. You got a little momentum, you got a little success, everything is like flowing, you got some money coming in, and then bam. Then you crash and burn. So this is where you self-destruct. This is where you self-sabotage. This is where sometimes you get sick, because what happens is if you don't deal with 1 through 4, if you don't deal with the blocks, if you don't deal with the limiting beliefs, if you don't deal with the frustrations or the negative feelings that come up, you know what happens? That emotional and mental stuff turns into physical ailments. Okay? Our bodies and minds are so powerful. So number 5 is where you self-destruct. So whether you just do something reckless to destroy everything that you have going on, you run away, you get scared, you freaking make a bad business deal, sometimes people get injured, sometimes people get stuck on addictions because they haven't dealt with 1 through 4. So they're masking the limiting beliefs with drugs, alcohol, binge eating, whatever the case may be. And it's going to surface. It's going to surface, and it's going to prevent you from going any higher. It's going to prevent you from having any more success. And this is something that's so common. And even for people who are not necessarily that self-aware, it can form in a physical ailment. So like people get sick. You ever know that like people are like, they have some huge, awesome event going on, and then they're like sick as a dog, or, like just injuries. Injuries are common things because our upper limit is the peak that we allow ourselves to go to, whether it's success, whether it's feeling good, and then we have to self-destruct. So it's like even with feeling good, so like let's take it on like a mental or energy level. So everything is great, life is great, business is good, relationship is good, like you're feeling good, you're happy, you're thriving, and then you're like, oh shit, this is too good to be true. Something's about to go wrong. And you start worrying. You start worrying about something absolutely ridiculous, some crazy story you made up in your head just because you've hit your threshold of how good you can allow yourself to feel. Or like you have all this like success going on and, like everything is great. And then like, I don't know, you pick a fight with your partner and now like part of your life is falling apart because your relationship is crap because you're super successful in your business. You know what I mean? Like there's so many different variations of this. So what you have to do is realize where your peak is, realize where your threshold is, and raise that shit. You know what I mean? Like allow yourself to feel so good. So one thing that I said this year is like, I want to feel so good that like I feel like my heart is going to explode. So there's been moments where I've just been like thriving and like life was just so amazing and I'm around the people that I love and business is great and just like literally I'm so happy. Like my heart is so full. It feels like it's going to pop. Like that feeling of just being so happy and so high on life is like indescribable. Like indescribable, like whichever one, both of them. And I just said, I want to feel this way as much as possible. I want to feel this as much as possible because this is what life is about. Having those yummy, delicious, insane, magical moments. Like that is what life is about. And some people don't allow themselves to feel that. They don't allow themselves to feel so high because when you feel that high on life, maybe the lows feel even lower. Because when you go so high, then you have a lot further to come down. So they stay in this monotone space. But I want to say, fuck that. Excuse my language, but seriously, guys, life is meant to be enjoyed. Life is meant to be yummy and delicious and magical and abundant. So why cap how much happiness you can have? Why cap how much passion you can feel? Why cap how much success you can have? And I know people say, oh no, I want all the success. I want all the success. I want all the money. But the reality is, people are not talking about the blocks. People are not talking about the limiting beliefs of like, you know, oh, well, my family. And so Upper Limits, the book. Okay, what is the book? Gay Hendricks, The Big Leap. Okay, so if you want to learn more about Upper Limits, I highly, highly recommend the book, The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. He talks about upper limits, and a lot of times it's because we don't want to outshine someone. Maybe we don't want to outshine our partners. Maybe we don't want to outshine our friends. Maybe we don't want to outshine our siblings or our parents. You know, there's so many reasons why people cap their happiness, why people cap their success, why people just self-destruct when they hit a certain peak. But you have to raise that roof. You have to raise that glass ceiling of like break through it. I don't even want to say raise it, like break through it and be happier. Allow yourself to be happier. Allow yourself to feel happier, to feel more joy, to feel more fulfillment. Allow the success to come in because life is abundant. There are so many opportunities that are literally waiting for you to be open to them. There are so many opportunities waiting for you to let them in. But as long as you feel like this is as good as it gets, that's going to be as good as it gets. Like, that's the reality of it. That is the reality of it. If you feel like, well, this is it. This is it. This is as good as it gets. Then you're not going to experience anymore, you know? So why cap it? Why? Why not be open to being like, oh, there's more and I am ready for it. So bring it on, universe. Like, like for real. So yeah, just to recap, I'm talking about caps here, but just to recap, the 5 stages of leveling up. Number 1 is blocks. These are the reasons that you are not even getting started. You're not even taking action. You have that book you want to write. You have that course you want to start. You have this podcast you want to start. You have this new job, this new career, this new business, this new hottie that you're checking out. It's the thing that's stopping you from moving forward. Number 2 is limiting beliefs, the things that you're telling yourself, the stories you're telling yourself as to why you can't be successful, why you can't be happy, why you can't have it all. And so many people don't think you can have it all. But you know what? When I dedicated myself to doing this podcast, it's because I want to dismantle every limiting belief that people have. I am interviewing people that have the husband or wife and the career and the kids and the travel. You know what I mean? Like, it's possible. It is possible. So you have to believe that. So number 3 is frustration. This is when you're angry at the world. We've all been there. Oh, I get there. I rant. Guys, I go on my rants. I do. So this is when you're just like pointing fingers at everyone else rather than going back to the drawing board, rolling up your sleeves and putting in the work. Okay. Number 4 is imposter syndrome. When you start to feel like, okay, am I a fraud? Am I a hypocrite? Like, am I up for this? Can I even do this? Like, who am I to write this book? Who am I to release this course? Who am I to have this hot husband or this hot wife? Like, this is where you start to question everything. But to be honest with you, M&Ms, I really think it's a healthy process if you come out on top. If you come out on top and you navigate through this stage, because this stage allows you to go back to that drawing board and say, oh, I deserve this hot partner because I'm amazing. I deserve to write this book because I am an expert in my field and I know damn well what I'm talking about. I deserve to create this podcast or this online course or this business, or I deserve this job because I'm the best candidate for it. So when you have those thoughts of the imposter syndrome sneaking up, this is an opportunity for you to own your gifts, your skills, whatever it is, your purpose in this world. It is an opportunity for you to own it. And I feel like we don't gush over ourselves anymore. Like, we don't celebrate ourselves anymore. And if we do it, it's on social media for like fluff, you know what I mean? But like, to ourselves, like looking yourself in a mirror and being like, you know what? You fucking rock. You know what I mean? Like, we need to do that more because people are suffering in silence. They're insecure in silence. They're, you know, the fears and the blocks are all in silence and they're not being dealt with. They're being swept under the rug, which is why this framework is so important to me. So important to me. And then the last one, number 5, is upper limit. This is your cap. This is your cap on how much happiness, passion, and success you allow in your life before you start to self-destruct or self-sabotage. And I want you to break through that fucking ceiling. Do you hear me, M&Ms? I want you to break through that ceiling and allow as much happiness, as much passion, as much joy, as much yumminess, as much success and wealth and health that you can handle. You know, I want you to feel good. My purpose for this podcast is to inspire people to thrive. I don't want you to just exist. I know a lot of people just existing. I did a Facebook Live and I'm just like, who's the happiest person you know? Like, who do you know that is like, I am madly in love with my life. I fucking love my life. And I'm not saying anyone's life is perfect, you know? Like, you may love your business. Do you have 1 or 2 clients that irk your nerves? Probably. But does that take away from the fact that you love your business? No. So obviously there's always going to be, you know, something that's testing you and some type of challenge, but who do you know that's like, I love my partner, I love my career, business, or job, I love where I live, you know, like I love my kids. Like, there's not enough people celebrating their lives. There's not enough people that are genuinely thriving. And I'm not talking about for social media, because everybody loves their life on social media. You know what I mean? Like, everybody loves their life on social media, but I'm talking about for real, for real. So like, when you talk to people in private, are they like, damn, my life is fucking good. My life is great. You know what I mean? Not on social media, because obviously highlight reel, of course, like, you know, it's like a trailer for people's lives. Like, it looks super good, you know? But like, for real, when you talk to them and they're just like, man, I love my wife. I love my husband. I love my boyfriend or girlfriend. I love my business. Like, man, I freaking love my business. Like, I love the city I live in. How many times are we celebrating the things in our lives? It's easy to talk about the things you don't like. Oh, it's easy. It's easy. But really, I encourage you to celebrate your life. And the more you celebrate it, the more the universe is going to provide. Every time you celebrate your life, your business, your partner, your city where you live, there's a lot of people that don't like where they live. Every time you celebrate your life, you're raising that cap. You're raising that upper limit to allow more abundance into your life. Oh, guys, this was good. I don't know if you loved it, but I freaking loved it. So this was the first episode where I'm like, you know what? No script, no notes. I'm just going to speak from my heart. So I really, really, really hope that you enjoyed this, and definitely give me some feedback, Let me know what you think. Let me know how you're feeling. Let me know if you have experienced the 5 stages of leveling up. Let me know what you want to hear me speak about. This podcast is for the visionaries. This podcast is for the action takers. This podcast is for the innovators. It's inspiring people to take that leap, to thrive, not exist, and not even just live, like living is like, that's average. Like you're doing good. You're doing okay. Like you're cool, but like thrive. This is for people who want to thrive. This is for people who want to pave their own way, who's not okay with just the status quo. So let me know what you want to hear. Let me know how I can add value to your life and help you thrive. I hope you enjoyed this. This was so amazing for me. Look, I have chills on my body. Like this was good. I really feel strong about this framework. All right, M&Ms, it's been real. Until next time, love and light. Thank you for listening to the Abundance Hack Podcast. Don't forget to leave comments and questions. Remember, every time you subscribe or leave a 5-star rating, I do my happy dance.